Hello, everyone, and welcome to this important update from USA Secure Benefits, where we focus on protecting your financial security and providing clear, reliable information about Social Security matters in a straightforward manner, much like a formal news briefing on critical policy developments that affect millions of Americans relying on these essential programs. Today, we are addressing a time-sensitive issue that requires your attention to ensure smooth processing of your benefits, particularly as we enter the new year. And while the date in question is January 10th, acting promptly can help mitigate potential disruptions in your payment cycles for January or February. So let us proceed with a detailed examination of the situation based on official guidance from the Social Security Administration and the U.S. Treasury, which we have reviewed extensively to distill the key facts for you without any exaggeration or unnecessary alarm. This message is specifically directed toward Social Security retirees, SSI recipients, SSDI beneficiaries, widows and widowers, disabled adults, veterans who receive both VA and Social Security benefits, caregivers managing benefits for others, and anyone on a fixed income who counts on that monthly deposit for basic necessities such as rent, groceries, electricity, heating, prescriptions, Medicare premiums, and overall peace of mind, because for the vast majority of these individuals, that check represents not discretionary funds, but the very foundation of daily survival, and any glitches in timing, processing, or paperwork can lead to genuine hardship rather than mere inconvenience. At USA Secure Benefits, our role is to monitor these policy updates, track the intricacies of the payment systems, and translate complex bureaucratic language into plain, accessible English so that you can stay informed and protected. And in this update, we aim to ensure that you do not inadvertently overlook a crucial step that could impact your upcoming payment cycles, emphasizing that this is about empowerment through knowledge rather than inducing fear. If you are new to our updates, we encourage you to stay connected with USA Secure Benefits, as we are dedicated to safeguarding your benefits, clarifying changes in the system, and guiding you through its complexities. And as part of building our community, we invite you to share where you are located by mentioning your city and state, which helps foster a sense of solidarity among those navigating similar challenges. Now, to maintain your focus, please note that the core details of this update are central to understanding the implications, where we will outline what the system officially states, how it operates in practice, and the specific actions you should consider before January 10th to prevent potential issues. So let us delve into the changes and their significance without delay. Every January, multiple processes converge within the Social Security system, including the finalization of New Year payment files, the full implementation of cost of living adjustments, the locking in of Medicare premium deductions, the resetting of tax withholding elections, the re-verification of bank routing and direct deposit details, and the rollover of certain eligibility and reporting cycles. And it is important to recognize that the system does not simply halt on December 31st and restart anew on January 1st, but instead transitions through a rolling process where minor discrepancies can escalate into significant delays if not addressed. January 10th holds particular importance because it aligns with the midpoint of the first full Treasury payment batch cycle of the year, encompassing bank posting synchronization, Medicare deduction reconciliation, and Social Security Administration record validation for ongoing eligibility, making it a pivotal window for ensuring everything is in order. We acknowledge the emotional weight this carries for many, as rising prices strain budgets, forcing difficult choices like stretching food supplies, having medications, or prioritizing bills, and terms like deadlines or risks can understandably heighten anxiety, prompting concerns about what might happen if a check is delayed. But our goal here at USA Secure Benefits is to guide you through this calmly without blame or threats by illuminating how the system functions to help you remain secure within it. There are numerous myths circulating currently, such as claims that failing to file something by January 10th will halt your benefits, that all recipients must update their accounts or face payment loss, or that the Social Security Administration is terminating benefits for those who ignore emails or texts. But most of these are either misconceptions or outright inaccuracies, though there are indeed a few targeted actions that, if relevant to your situation, should be completed before January 10th to avert processing delays, benefit holds, or erroneous deductions, and we will methodically sort through these in a clear, composed manner. On the surface, the Social Security Administration and U.S. Treasury adhere to precise, structured schedules, with payments disbursed on designated Wednesdays according to birth dates, SSI distributed on the first of the month, cost of living adjustments applied automatically, Medicare premiums deducted seamlessly, and funds electronically transferred to banks for posting. But in actual operation, the process involves the Social Security Administration transmitting payment files to the Treasury, which then disperses funds to the banking network, where individual banks handle processing on their unique timelines. And especially during the year-end and early January period, these systems conduct annual account verifications, anti-fraud rechecks, tax reporting resets, benefit category audits, overpayment and offset reviews, and Medicare Part B and Part D deduction reconciliations, all occurring behind the scenes. When a record reflects a recent address change, bank switch, representative payee update, Medicare premium adjustment, tax withholding election, reported income variation, disability review flag, spouse death record update, new survivor benefit conversion, or any mismatch between Social Security Administration and Medicare databases, the payment may shift from automated processing to manual review, not as a penalty, but as a safeguard for federal funds, highlighting the gap between official policy, which promises timely payments for all, and the practical realities where most receive funds on schedule unless caught in a verification loop. This explanation is grounded in the factual mechanics of the federal payment system, not speculation, as we at USA Secure Benefits draw from how the Social Security Administration, Treasury, Medicare, and banking networks interconnect at a systemic level, and grasping this reduces uncertainty by clarifying why files are held. Reviews occur, banks post variably, neighbors might receive payments earlier, and January proves a delicate processing period, shifting the perspective from self-blame or panic to recognizing these as inherent system behaviors rather than individual shortcomings, which is a vital distinction for maintaining composure. To recap our discussion thus far in this USA Secure Benefits update, we have covered why January is a sensitive month for payments, the role of January 10th in the processing timeline, the discrepancies between Social Security Administration policy and real-world banking practices, and how certain records subtly enter verification cycles, ensuring you are fully oriented before we proceed to the actionable specifics. In the sections ahead, we will delineate which particular circumstances necessitate steps before January 10th, who can remain unconcerned, what has been verified as accurate, what remains unconfirmed, and the practical checks you can perform to safeguard your payment continuity, always approaching this with reassurance that there is no need for alarm as we navigate it collectively. Now, shifting to a highly practical and precise breakdown of what taking action before January 10th entails, it is essential to clarify that this is not a blanket form submission deadline or an intimidation tactic, but rather an alignment with system timing to facilitate seamless operations. And there are 5 primary domains where January 10th is relevant: direct deposit verification, Medicare premium and deduction finalization, tax withholding elections via Form W-4V, income reporting for SSI, and updates to addresses or representative payees. Beginning with direct deposit and bank verification, each January sees the Treasury executing an automated check of routing numbers, account statuses, name matches, and fraud protection indicators. And if you have made a recent bank change, altered an account number, transitioned to a prepaid card, added or removed a joint holder, experienced a bank merger, or had an account freeze in December, your record could be flagged in a pending verification group, potentially causing the payment to be dispatched but delayed in posting, lingering in pending status, or in infrequent instances, returned for reissuance if not resolved by the mid-January Treasury cycle finalization, which underscores why reviewing your My Social Security direct deposit information before January 10th is advisable if any banking modifications occurred in the prior 90 days. not as a form of reprimand, but as a measure to shield federal funds from fraudulent activity. Next, regarding Medicare Part B and Part D deduction lock-in, January marks the application of new premiums, the finalization of income-related monthly adjustment amounts, updates to low-income subsidy changes, reflections of qualified Medicare beneficiary, specified low-income Medicare beneficiary, or qualifying individual assistance, and postings of late enrollment penalties. And should your Medicare premium have shifted without a perfect alignment between your Social Security deduction file and the Medicare file by mid-January, the system might temporarily withhold a portion of your benefit, modify your net deposit, or impose a retroactive offset, positioning January 10th as a critical reconciliation juncture rather than a strict cutoff, serving as a point for data synchronization to prevent such complications. Thirdly, for tax withholding via Form W-4V, if you have instructed the Social Security Administration to initiate, cease, or adjust federal tax withholding percentages, these requests are handled in batches, with January 10th often acting as a threshold for inclusion in the February payment file, meaning a missed cycle could result in the previous setting persisting for an additional month, attributable to routine batch processing rather than any fault on your part. Fourthly, for SSI recipients, January functions as a reset period for income and living arrangement reporting, where reported income, rent alterations, household shifts, in-kind support recalculations occur, and if changes such as a spouse moving in or out, rent fluctuations, utility assistance commencement, caregiver arrangement modifications, job starts or ends, a child aging out, or benefit conversions have taken place, confirming these in the system early helps avert overpayments or interim holds, framed not as punishment but as straightforward eligibility computations. Fifthly, for address and representative payee updates, the Social Security Administration conducts yearly cross-verifications against U.S. Postal Service records, payee versus beneficiary living statuses against death records, and guardianship or power of attorney validations, with January 10th falling within the initial validation timeframe, where discrepancies can prompt identity re-verification, payment routing suspensions, or the issuance of mailed notices in lieu of deposits. Certain groups are particularly susceptible to oversights in this process, including widows and widowers who have recently transitioned from their own benefits to survivor benefits, as January is when the new category solidifies in the system. Disabled adult children receiving on a parent's record, subject to annual family eligibility cross-checks. SSI couples undergoing joint household reviews and deeming calculations resets, dual beneficiaries of SSI and SSDI, involving coordination between two programs, two files, and one payment stream where reconciliation is key, those with VA plus Social Security benefits governed by offset rules for coordination rather than reductions, and representative payees for whom January brings reviews of validity and reporting adherence, all of which indicate that these records interface with multiple databases, increasing the likelihood of verification needs without implying any wrongdoing. To dispel prevalent fears, let us address common rumors head-on. The notion that the Social Security Administration will cease payments absent some filing by January 10th is inaccurate, as terminations require formal notice and due process. The idea that every individual must update their account immediately is overstated, applying only to those with recent changes or mismatches, and the portrayal of this as a covert cutoff is misleading, as it is truly a processing interval rather than a termination trigger, reminding us that facts must prevail over rapidly spreading apprehension. Regarding variations in payment receipt among neighbors, this stems from Treasury batch releases, divergent bank posting cycles, where credit unions frequently post ahead and large banks lag, impacts from weekends and holidays on settlements, and the distinction between funds being available versus pending, with the Social Security Administration dispatching the money but banks determining visibility, bound by federal law and regulations that prevent overrides. So such differences reflect systemic norms rather than oversight or favoritism. If something appears amiss with your payment, the recommended approach is to wait 3 business days past your scheduled date, then verify via My Social Security, check bank details, review Medicare deduction changes, and contact the Social Security Administration only if unresolved, prepared with your Social Security number, date of birth, last payment amount, bank information, and Medicare number if applicable, maintaining an organized, non-panicked stance. At the heart of this, we at USA Secure Benefits recognize that these matters transcend mere figures, representing access to food, insulin, heat, and dignity. And navigating fixed income life amid inflation is profoundly challenging, validating any anxiety as a sign of responsibility rather than weakness, affirming that you are not isolated in this framework and that your well-being is paramount. Before January 10th, if any of the outlined scenarios pertain to you, access My Social Security to confirm direct deposit, examine Medicare deductions, check tax withholding via W-4V, review income reports, verify address and payee information, explore qualified Medicare beneficiary, specified low-income Medicare beneficiary, or qualifying individual options, assess extra help, and consider Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program if heating expenses are escalating, while remembering that the Social Security Administration never issues threats via phone or solicits gift cards. If this update has been beneficial, we appreciate your feedback, and if you seek further insights on Social Security, indicate your interest, along with your state, to help us tailor our content. There are no signs of widespread benefit interruptions, but January inherently involves intensive system activities where adjustments and reconciliations may occur, and no reductions are implemented without legislative backing, notification, and due process. We will continue monitoring the Social Security Administration, Treasury, Medicare, and VA, delivering updates rooted in verified facts rather than speculation. You, as contributors to this nation through your labor, family raising, and endurance of losses, illnesses, and adversities, merit transparency over dread and steadiness over disarray. So remain engaged, informed, and composed, and consider connecting with USA Secure Benefits for ongoing support, sharing this information with others dependent on Social Security, and contributing your city and state to strengthen our collective network.